were singing Pink
Yes,
Floyd.
it's like someone took
Hey, guys.
Brick in the Wall by Pink Floyd and modernized the tune. I don't know why I heard
I
Pink
feel like
Floyd.
when we all sang together, we did not sound so bad. Maybe it was just the way I was processing that.
Teacher,
Thursday?
leave them kids alone.
Woo! Not Friday. It's only
Oh, sorry, it's Thursday. I don't know what I was
Thursday.
thinking.
You have to be
Rein
more
it in.
serious on a Thursday. Okay, first topic. Sunrise Extra on a Thursday.
All right. fill us in.
Emotional support animals
Yes.
being proposed not allowed to fly for free anymore on U.S. planes. That is what they are considering making changes to. And only allowing legit papered service dogs and only dogs on board for free.
Well,
you can still
'cause
bring your
that's-
cat, but
right.
you have to pay the $125 fee and have it in a carrier.
And that's the problem, because people can get around that by getting certifications that are bogus and getting little animal vests that indicate they're service dogs when
But
they're
it's not a real one.
We heard from one airline a flight attendant, and she was like, "It is like Noah's Ark in here.
Right.
Like we have had
true.
every kind of animal that you can imagine."
You know, it is a shame because it's one of those things where getting to the service, and we're talking about emotional support animals, not service animals, but you know, even the service animal deal has gone out of control because people have abused that system, like you said. I mean, they've gone out of their way to find means to get those vests, to put it on a dog, whether they need it or not. And I only speak about this because my sister-in-law, who I've talked about before in the show, she's been in a wheelchair now for 20 years. Because of a terrible accident 20 years ago, and she has a service dog, little dog. I mean, it would easily fit in her lap. Now she doesn't even fly with that dog because usually she'll fly with her husband, and he helps her out. But the dog helps her out when he's not home, picking up things off the ground for her and things of that nature. A legit service dog that if you looked at it, and some people have, I've seen it at restaurants. People looking like that's not a service dog. It's a, you know, it's like a little lap dog. But you can almost, you know, they get those looks of like that is not a real service dog just because it doesn't look like a lab, so to speak, or something that you would expect to see. So, anyways, I know that in our family there's some sensitivity to the subject because you know you can't judge. Sometimes they're legit when they don't look legit. Sometimes they're not when they look like they are. But this again is
so this is going to increase requirements even for legit service dogs. They're going to have to arrive at the airport an hour even earlier to make sure that those papers are certified, and they're going to have one other piece of something from the TSA that they would decide on that would, you know, make them pass muster.
Well, if you base it on our morning poll, we did a poll throughout the Sunrise TV show this morning. We asked the viewers, you know, point blank, what do you think of this idea? Yes or no, good or bad? And I think the last check, 89% of our viewers had said yes to this idea.
Just what is it? We can't really see the monitor.
Yeah, there's no monitor right here. It's way across the room.
93%, yes.
Up to 93%, with a lot of votes to boot on that one. But I think the point of Sunrise Extra is to get some answers behind those yes and no votes. So if you're saying yes, why? But more importantly, I think for that, you know, the minority now, there's only 7% saying no. But I'd like to hear why you're saying no.
I have a very good friend who is a dog guy. He's got cats too, and he flies between 2 states very often, like weekly. And he brings his dog with him, which is a regular dog. And he, just to get out of that regular weekly $125 fee, he has it as an emotional support dog, when he really doesn't. And
name and social security number, please.
Well, one of our former coworkers had that issue as well.
Just because they want to get out of paying the money. You know.
Well, I mean, it's emotionally supportive to not be
just
spending so much
financially.
money.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a joke.
So that would all
point blank
change.
said to you, he's not really an emotional, or you've drawn that conclusion on your own.
No, he just says it. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I think our viewers, the overwhelming number, and we'll hear from them as you mentioned, but to me, look, somewhere back people started to cheat the system. This was meant for people that had registered, trained service dogs, like, you know, if you're blind, you need a guide dog, for an obvious example. And then people started to cheat the system, and now we're having to revisit the law that should never have had to be revisited in the first place because people started to cheat it. So that this is a reset of people cheating.
I
Which
feel
is
though
to your
for the
story.
people who, like the veterans, who don't have any obvious outward physical disability, but may have PTSD, and they've got emotional support animals that help them.
And they could probably get
And
those registered.
I'm sure that they can,
Yeah.
but you're right. It's kind of like, ooh, if it's just a service dog for people
And
with
you can
physical
still
disabilities.
bring that animal.
Right.
You just have
To
to
pay.
pay the fee.
But I think that's a
Or
legitimate-
You'll get a letter
Get it
from your
registered.
doctor. People were weighing in on Facebook. I made an earlier post. Rebecca Trantow said the lack of knowledge about service animals is insane. There are no true papered service animals because there's no program set in place federally to recognize true service animals. And Kyra weighed in. She says, yeah, you have to have a letter from a doctor saying it's a service animal. I know because I have one. The lack of knowledge is crazy.
Wait, so that's it? There's no standard, like the state of Oregon doesn't give you a certificate with a seal on it, or you don't get
Yeah, I didn't realize that either.
that's certified. Well, then that needs, if that's the case, that needs to change.
Right, yeah.
We actually have people
But let's-
chiming in at the same time on our live stream. One of those being Becky Vincent, who may be new to the program. She's saying, "Get off your phone, dude." I assume she's talking to me since she said, "Dude."
Oh, we're watching your live comments as you guys. Sorry, we are paying.
You know what I like
attention,
now?
yes.
Now we've been doing this long enough. We have viewers telling the people what we're doing.
Oh, good. Yeah,
Because
we're not being rude.
Thank
We're
you.
watching your live comments.
Yeah, this is how we
Rob
track.
in St. Helen, one of those viewers. Hello there, Rob St. Helen.
Rob. Thank you.
Rob says, "Becky, he's on the phone talking and answering questions for this very show."
Thank you.
So there you go. Let's get to actually the topic at hand, though, because people are weighing in on that. We have Crystal Johnson. Good
I like
morning,
this
Crystal.
one. Yeah.
She says mental disability is just as hindering as a physical one. Any type of service animal should be accepted as long as they are certified and registered as a support animal. That is documentation.
You're right, which is
Agreed.
not what this, yeah.
Here's a question on YouTube. J.R. Raven, who chimes in a lot. J.R. Asks, how come owners of service dogs don't let you talk to or pet their cute little animals? Well,
They're working.
Well, they're working, and I think I don't have firsthand knowledge about this, but I've always kind of seen or heard, stay away from the animal because you don't want to
Distracting.
interfere with what they're exactly.
Right.
You said it best. I should have just left it at that.
Well, I always see you sometimes see
working.
the little vest on them that says, "I am a working service dog. Please
Yeah,
don't."
I'm not here. I mean, please
approach
don't
me
let
or
you pet
something."
their canines when they're
Yeah,
out there
yeah.
on the job.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Douglas watching this morning. Good morning, Douglas.
What's up,
watching on the Facebook feed right now. Comments. His comment is similar to the flight attendant's comment that we heard on the Sunrise TV show, who described the
zoo?
plane looking like Noah's Ark, is what she said. Douglas this morning says he was on a plane that looked like a zoo, and he says many of the animals on that plane were not trained properly. That was his take.
I've never, I mean, I don't fly all that often, but I've never been on a plane with an animal on board at
Really?
all. Yeah, interesting.
I flew with our smaller dog, Zoe, who is still alive and living with, I call it the retirement home. She lives with my mother-in-law.
Oh, I was going to say, I've never heard of Zoe.
Zoe's 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
Anyways, but I flew with Zoe back, 10, 12 years ago. She 12-pound, 13-pound terrier that fit in a bag, and I had my little carry bag. I look like Paris Hilton at the airport, right? But so then I get to the plane, and the seat next to me happened to be empty. So I took the bag from underneath the seat because it slid right under the seat perfectly. I took the bag from the seat and I undid the zipper, and then Zoe was kind of hanging out with me, and the flight attendant was like, it doesn't work that way. And she was right. I knew that. I tried to give her a window seat. She's like, no, the dog has to go back under the seat.
Wait. Was this as once the plane? Did I miss that? The plane was already.
Oh yeah, we were in mid-flight.
you were in
we were flying
mid-flight.
across the country. I took the bag from underneath. I put it on the
come
seat
on.
next to me.
Wait a minute.
I
We
knew it
can
wasn't.
bend the rules for that, can't we?
I thought maybe I could. Apparently I couldn't.
Because you move. Well, I don't know. Do you need like a act of Congress or something to change a seat on an airplane when it's half booked and
I
you're
think
already?
Speaking as a former flight attendant, if that's a regulation, that's a regulation.
Yeah.
End of story.
The rule is the dog has to remain in its crate underneath the seat. That's
Yeah,
the
you
rule.
don't
You have
bend the
to live
rules.
by it, and I bent it.
Sometimes we bend the
Captain.
rules.
No, you're not-
Better
you're not
than in the
supposed
luggage
to.
compartment.
I mean, there was no complaint. I mean, there was like no
Like
argument.
dogs
I just said, okay, you're right. It's back under the
Great.
seat.
So you
I only
guys
bring that
weigh
up
in. We're
because
watching your comments.
I've never seen an animal on a plane other than my own either.
Yeah,
The only
I
animal I've
never
ever sat with
have.
was my own.
Yeah. And there was a, do we have that Tom Costello package, did you say? From NBC, guys?
Is anybody
Do you
talking?
guys have that NBC story on this? Yeah, let's play it because there was a soundbite from a woman with a service dog who said her poor dog was attacked by.
By a non-trained animal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's watch. Oh.
Yeah.
Roll
Efforting.
that beautiful bean footage.
And my niece is an RN, and she likes to travel with Dexter, who's like a chow.
Brian's trying. Director Brian, he's looking for the story.
Well, Sarah Lynn
still on?
Over Cunningham says there are too many fake emotional support animals with no training being brought into restaurants and on airplanes. So yeah, long
All right.
overdue, she
Now
says.
we have the story. Watch this.
The nation's airlines say it's out of control. Too many passengers claiming dogs, cats, even peacocks, pigs, and miniature horses are service animals or emotional support animals to avoid a $125 pet fee. The Department of Transportation proposed tough new rules. Emotional support animals are not service animals. Only dogs trained to help persons with a disability will be considered service animals and allowed in a passenger cabin. A psychiatric service animal would also require training. Welcome news to Sharon Giovinazzo, who is blind and relies on her dog Watson with 18 months of training. But he's been attacked in airports by so-called emotional support dogs.
If I would have been at the top of an escalator and that happened, I probably would have ended up at the bottom of the escalator.
Airlines have long complained of websites offering fake certifications for animals.
Our airplanes started to look like Noah's Ark. We had every kind of animal there could be, and we had every kind of safety and health issue because of it.
Some travelers may be upset now about having to pay a fee if their pet isn't certified, but any passenger who says they need a psychiatric support animal will have to prove the animal is trained, well-behaved, and healthy. Lying on a federal form can carry serious penalties.
So that's the story we ran today on the Sunrise TV show. There was that comment in there from the flight attendant talking about the plane beginning to look like Noah's Ark. We actually hear on our live Facebook stream right now, thanks to all of you who are watching, be it on YouTube or on Facebook at the moment, we're hearing from a former airline pilot, Pat Costa.
Excellent. Thank you,
What's up, Pat? And the question we asked was simply, I want to get the exact phrasing of the question right in our poll question this morning. Do you have that
I
up
think
there?
it was like, how do you agree?
Do you
or
support the change?
do you
Yeah.
support the proposal?
Do you support this plan to restrict emotional support animals on flights? And our former pilot, Pat, says, as a retired airline pilot, yes. I mean, he's saying no bones about it.
Yeah.
It's something that should
Well,
be
Do you have
done.
a bad experience, Pat?
It's flat out dangerous if you have an untrained animal on that aircraft. I mean, that to me, that's not disputable.
Right.
If you have an animal that, and then remember the viewer that said there's a lot of ignorance on this topic in that there aren't the restrictions apparently, or the legal paper trail that, like I assume there was, where you have your
should be.
certification from your animal, it's been through the training, therefore it's safe to be in the setting, and that needs to happen.
Kelly Bauer says, sounds fair to me. Folks with legal service dogs are most times veterans. Let's see. And Sherry, good morning, says, so if a dog goes through its special training, why does the trainer give a license proving they are, why? Wait, so what is it? So if the dog goes through its special training, why does the trainer give a license proving they are a true
Yeah,
trained
she's saying
dog?
like, well, what's the point of them, doing this if it's not, papered thing? I mean, they have.
point.
Seems like it should be a papered thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If
It
they're
does seem like-
trained,
In this world of
like you'd have a
paperless.
certificate.
We have a viewer.
The trainer. I don't know. Go ahead.
Because we do have a viewer who seems to know a little bit about this, but she's
Excellent.
speaking from experience.
Good.
And a lot of our viewers seem to have an opinion on this subject, yes or no, but Susie says, emotional support dogs do need a letter from a doctor. A service dog does not. She's speaking from experience. She says there's two questions you can ask. The questions are, is the service dog, what does he do for you? I have a service dog in training. My dog does not pay attention to others, only me. People ask me all the time if they can pet him. I say no, he is working. This dog of hers reminds Susie to take her meds. He senses when she's about to have a meltdown because she has PTSD.
Yeah.
He is a psychiatric service dog in training. If I had to pay for him to get on a plane with me, no problem. He's also a pit bull, she mentions. Thank you for reading my comment.
Thank you for.
I don't
weighing
think
in.
anybody's
Yeah.
disputing that there are people that have this need. We're trying to get the people out that just like
The
to be with their
scammers.
dog,
Right. Or just
so
don't
they're
wanna pay the
faking
fee.
it to bring
Yeah.
their dog on board, right?
Peacock or their pig
yes.
or whatever.
100%.
And so this is again, like, this is not for sure yet. This is just a
plan.
proposal. And it would also crack down on what animals, because we saw in that video pigs and peacocks and
Can't imagine
horses.
a peacock.
Yeah.
Be kind of
And
noisy,
so
wouldn't it?
no more,
You ever heard
no
of a
more of
peacock?
that.
The problem is this. we're allowing service animals.
Only dogs.
Only
under
service
this
dogs.
proposal.
We're not allowing. Flat out, it is no longer allowable to take for free a emotional support animal onto a plane.
For free. You just
So the
take them as
problem
a
is,
pet.
and I know it's easy to say, well, that's okay, good. There's too much of this going on and the people are cheating the system. But the fact is, if you do have an individual who legitimately needs that emotional support animal with them on the plane, they don't get that perk anymore.
Get the letter, get it certified then.
That is a bias between a physical disability and a mental health
But if you just need a letter from your doctor,
then if
that
that's
shouldn't
it,
be that
yeah.
hard.
Yeah. That was part of the story, or that was a viewer's comment?
That is real.
I think I've heard stories that, sometime back, people would actually go on, there were websites that would sell you My Dog's a Service Animal. You could buy the little vest, and people would wrap the vest around their dog, and then they would just get their dog in anywhere. People that were scamming the system that didn't need it, that just like having their dog with them. So again, but clearly, if people need their animals, physical or mental, we need a process that's fairly easy where they go and get their certification of sorts.
I don't think this is a discussion about whether people are cheating the system. We all seem to be in agreement on that. The discussion is more of, should these emotional support animals be treated differently than service dogs? Because typically the service dogs are helping out with some sort of physical disability. The emotional support animals are helping out with an emotional
there's an
disability.
easy way
I would
around it.
say
Of, like,
no,
get them
that's-
certified as a service animal.
Okay.
There you go.
That's the same. Should be the same.
There you
kettle of
go.
fish.
Case closed?
There you go.
Is that it?
closed.
Yep.
Solved?
Wow.
Solved. Wow. It's
That
the first
18
thing we've
minutes?
ever
We
solved.
turn our attention to this beautiful thing.
nothing
Wait,
on that.
empty board. I want you to lead this discussion because it is National Handwriting Day today.
It is National Handwriting Day. So I'll just give you a quick
Remember, they
little-
have all the video and the sound bites and all that too.
We took our handwriting samples. Nina did not because she was out sick with the flu last week. But the
But
other,
she could provide one right now.
Yeah, that's a
Provide
good
one right
point.
now.
You wanted to give your handwriting samples?
And
No,
we can-
you go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
We've learned enough to do
the
some
sentence we had it right was, I am greatly, I'm not going to write the whole thing, looking forward to today's National Handwriting Day segment
Looking forward to Friday.
on the Sunrise Show. So my handwriting sample looks something like that.
That
I
looks
print
really good.
everything. Usually try to be
legible.
pretty straight and legible, right? To me, I don't care
Yeah.
how you write.
Absolutely.
Make it so that we can read. No, I don't do cursive. Brian Matthews, our director, is asking me. You still write with cursive?
I think I kind of forget. how
Well,
to
you have a
write
little bit of a
cursive,
mixed
actually.
hybrid there, a slight mixed hybrid there.
More importantly, we took my sample and Brenda's and Chris's and Rod's to a local handwriting analyst because she does this. It's not really for a living. She's retired at this point. She does it more for a hobby, but she'll make
What
presentations.
was that official term, though? What was she called?
Graphologist.
Graphologist.
I looked up graphology.
I learned something today.
It was listed as a pseudoscience.
Pseudoscience?
Not like meteorology, of course.
What are we listed as?
That's a legit science. This is a pseudoscience, graphology. We can tell you right now, though, she had something interesting to say about each one of us. I thought oh, good. Thank you, Jess. All four of our handwriting samples on the board as we speak. Brenda's is the one that is most beautiful,
Yes,
I would
it is
say.
quite lovely.
Mine is the printed version you see there. Rod and Chris giving us a little slant, if you will.
I don't know how anyone actually
Handwriting?
read mine.
I like the comment, though, Brenda, because one of the things Joyce, our handwriting analyst, said was that based on your handwriting, she determined that you are someone that may be difficult to get to know quickly. There's a lot of layers to Brenda Braxton that may be difficult to peel away. How did she determine that just from Brenda's handwriting? Let's listen.
And the lowercase o's, they're looped. And when you see them looped like that, that is a sign of secretiveness and able to keep confidences, but also it can be a sign of a person that's harder to get to know because there's just more layers there.
Of the group, I would say Brenda is the perfectionist of the group. Are you surprised to hear that based on this handwriting sample?
No, not at all. Her lines of writing don't fall into the next line of writing. There's a space between them, and that points out to her orderliness, organization ability. So she might be a neat freak.
And I knew that about you. I knew that about you.
Braxton,
before.
will you write my Christmas cards next
What
year?
did you think of that when she?
Said Rod.
I think it's spot on.
Yeah.
That is absolutely true.
But now knowing that it was the O's, right? It was the way you do your O's that led her to believe that you were someone who may be difficult to get to know quickly.
Right.
That it may take a while to peel back.
What
the
is it?
layers.
It's the. Will you write something with two O, like look or something? I want to
Does
see
it,
your.
does it mean you're going to try to now disguise that?
And Nook. That's what I was
Look,
wondering.
Nook, look. Oh, look at that beautiful L.
She's writing
Is that
quickly.
really
too.
how you write something?
Yeah.
Right. Another double O word.
Like what? Who?
Yes. Noodle.
So they're saying
have great, like, school
these
teacher
little
handwriting.
whoop-de-doos.
I don't know why I think of that, but
I am a hybrid. It just depends.
But it's this little
Loopy?
whoop-de.
Yes.
Is that what she's talking about?
Yes. So
Okay.
you have it
Wait,
there,
you
don't have it
you
there.
do it. Let's see.
Can I
Let's
ask you
see
to
what
do
your
it?
handwriting looks
I have
like.
a question though for you based on this handwriting. Now that you've heard this woman say this about your O's, are you going to think about that every time you write an O for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I would.
I've already forgot.
All right, it would be in the back of my mind.
Wow.
Moving forward.
I thought Rod's analysis was really interesting.
You want to get to Roz?
Yeah.
You are avoiding the handwriting part of the segment.
I
aren't
know
you?
you should.
It's just like children's handwriting.
All right. Well, here's what makes Rod's analysis interesting, because there were some things she said that I thought, well, man, she could have gathered that just by watching Rod on TV. But the part about this is someone who likes to spend time alone. I think Rod does like his alone time.
I do.
I said, how the heck would you determine that just based on Rod's handwriting? And here's what Joyce had to say.
In the third line, where the word handwriting is, you see that G at the end, and you see the flourish that goes off to the right. Well, the right is the future, and the left is the past in handwriting. So that is an initiative stroke going into the future.
You also said about Rod and his handwriting sample, this person values his alone time, which recharges him. I'm looking at that saying, how could you tell based on that sample?
Because the words are pretty far apart, you can see a big space between the words, and we call these rivers in graphology. So I can take my finger and I can go down here, and it's like you can have a river flow through between those words. So the further apart the words are, the more alone time that person needs to recharge and then come back.
Wow, you know, if Kansas City loses the Super Bowl, I'm going to need some alone time.
I think of the future, like, I mean, you're a meteorologist.
Right.
You're looking to the weather in the future. Don't you think that's cool?
You know, I do. I'm going to be a little skeptical, because the fact is...
That's how you are. That's
Because
why
the fact is, I have one brother, no sisters, and my brother and myself, our handwriting is exactly like our mother's handwriting, and if you took samples of all three of them, you can barely tell the difference.
Wow.
So the way I write
guys'
is just
personality
learned
obviously is
to
different.
me
Well, maybe not.
because it's a copy of the way my mom wrote.
Do the three of you have very different personalities?
My brother and I have very different personalities, yeah.
But are you like your mother?
he likes the Broncos.
I'm more like my mom.
Okay.
I'm definitely, the older I get, the more I'm my mother's child.
I thought it was interesting that you talked about that slant going, I can't now remember,
To the future.
left or right.
To right is the future, and
Right.
left is the past.
And she didn't tie that into forecasting. She just said you were someone who looks more to the future than to the past. I go, well, that helps because he does predict the weather.
I do play the lottery sometimes. That's looking into the future.
That other deal, I never would have thought that just because you have a big gap between your words, which you did have in your handwriting
Yes,
sample,
I do, yeah.
that would mean that you are someone who values their alone time. The river's Rod. The river's running.
Well, I
deep.
value my alone time, no doubt about that.
Well, you're about to get some alone time. We're about to wrap up Sunrise Extra. But the woman's name, I should mention.
She's great, yeah.
Joyce Brizendine. Rhymes with wine. You can find her online. I don't think I mentioned this on TV. Now I feel bad about that. I'm mentioning it to you. Write, W-R-I-T-E, writetoknow.org. You can seek her out to analyze your own handwriting.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks
Have
for
a good
joining
day, you
us. We'll see
guys.
tomorrow. Bye.
So now I'm going to look at my brother's handwriting.